In the heart of Napa Valley, Jake Torres, a winery heir, uncovers his wife's secret affair and a plot to steal his family's legacy. Armed with cunning and a thirst for justice, he crafts a plan to expose her betrayal in a way that'll leave the whole town talking. Buckle up for a wild ride of deception, revenge, and redemption that proves the truth always finds a way to shine. The sun dipped low over Napa Valley, casting golden streaks across the endless rows of grapevines at Torres Vineyards. Jake Torres, 45, stood at the center of the Harvest Festival, a grin spreading as he poured his family's signature Cabernet for a cluster of tourists. His winery, a century-old gem, thrived on nights like this, locals and visitors mingling, glasses clinking, laughter rising over the hum of live jazz. Jake's charm was magnetic. He swapped stories with a retired couple from Seattle, then coached a young winemaker on balancing tannins. This was his domain, built on his great-grandfather's sweat and now his own. He'd spent 20 years nurturing it alongside Sophia, his college sweetheart, whose knack for marketing had turned their label into a Napa staple. Their marriage, like the vines, seemed rooted deep, unshakable. As the festival wound down, Jake locked the winery's heavy oak doors, the scent of crushed grapes lingering in the cool night air. His boots crunched on the gravel path to his truck, a beat-up Ford he refused to replace. Driving home, he replayed the night's successes. A bulk order from a San Francisco restaurant, praise from a wine critic, and a kid's shy thank you for a free tour. Life felt full, ripe as the harvest itself. At home, the kitchen was dark except for a faint glow from Sophia's phone on the counter. She'd left it there, unusual for someone who guarded it like a vault. Jake, still buzzing from the festival, meant to ignore it, but a notification pinged, lighting up the screen. A name flashed, Alex. No last name, just a silhouette icon. The message preview read, "Can't wait for tomorrow. Bring the usual." Jake froze. Alex was the new sommelier in town, a smooth talker who'd been sniffing around the winery lately, always lingering near Sophia during tastings. Jake's gut twisted, but he brushed it off. Probably work-related, he told himself. Sophia handled their social media. She texted vendors all the time. He set the phone down, but doubt not. Sophia was upstairs, likely asleep after her own long day managing festival logistics. Jake poured a glass of water, trying to shake the unease. He wasn't the jealous type. 20 years of marriage had built trust thicker than oak barrels. But the phone buzzed again. Another message from Alex. "Rooms booked. You know what I like." Jake's pulse quickened. He glanced at the stairs, then back at the screen. His thumb hovered over the lock icon. Snooping felt wrong, a betrayal of their bond. But the words burned into him, sharp and insistent. He tapped the screen. No passcode, another oddity. The chat opened, revealing a string of messages that hit like a punch. Alex's texts were bold, flirty. Last time was unreal. "Your trouble." Sophia's replies matched the tone. "Only for you. Got something special for tomorrow." Jake scrolled, each line tightening his chest. They'd been meeting for weeks, sneaking off to motels, trading photos that made his stomach churn. Then he saw it, a mention of the 1920s collection. His family's pride, a rare set of bottles worth millions, locked in the winery's cellar. Alex wrote, "Once we sell those, we're set for life. Ditch him and we're gone." Sophia's reply, "Working on it. He's clueless." Jake's hands shook as he set the phone down. The kitchen felt too small, the air too thick. He stepped outside, the night sky vast above the vineyard. Anger simmered, but something colder took root, resolve. He wasn't the clueless husband they thought. Sophia's purse sat on the counter, half open, a receipt peeking out. He pulled it free, $75 for Luxe Essence Massage Oil, men's formula. They'd never used anything like it. The receipt was dated yesterday, from a boutique in town Alex frequented. Jake's mind raced. This wasn't just an affair, it was a heist, and he was the mark. He paced the porch, the festival's afterglow gone. Sophia's betrayal wasn't just personal, it threatened his legacy. But Jake didn't yell or storm upstairs. Instead, he sat, staring at the stars, a plan forming. He'd spent years perfecting blends, balancing flavors with precision. Now he'd craft something else, a trap. Tomorrow, Sophia would leave for her work emergency. Jake would be ready, not with fists or shouts, but with something sharper. The game had just begun. Jake Torres woke to the hum of his alarm at 5 a.m., the Napa Valley sky still dark beyond the bedroom window. Sophia lay beside him, her breathing steady, unaware of the storm brewing in his mind. Last night's discovery, her affair with Alex, Their plan to steal his winery's prized 1920s vintage collection had left him sleepless but focused. He wasn't the type to explode. Years of running Torres vineyards had taught him patience, the kind that turns raw grapes into fine wine. Today, he'd channel that into something else, a calculated strike. He slipped out of bed, grabbed Sophia's purse from the kitchen, and found the Lux Essence massage oil bottle. The sleek, black-capped vial felt like evidence of a crime. He turned it over, noting the boutique's logo and a faint smudge of Sophia's perfume. In the winery's workshop, among tools and barrels, he rummaged through a storage crate. There it was, a bottle of fast-drying adhesive gel used to patch cracked vats. Harmless on skin, but sticky enough to cause chaos. Jake smirked. If Sophia and Alex wanted special, he'd deliver. Using a syringe from the winery's lab, he emptied the massage oil into a jar, replacing it with the adhesive. He heated the bottle's seal with a hairdryer, recrimping it to look untouched. Every move was precise, like blending a vintage. He returned the bottle to Sophia's purse, nestling it among her keys and wallet, exactly as he'd found it. By 6:30 a.m., he was back in the kitchen, brewing coffee, acting the part of a husband with no clue. Sophia appeared at 7, rushing through breakfast with a distracted air. "Big meeting today," she said, barely meeting his eyes. "Client in Sonoma. Might be late." Jake nodded, sipping his coffee. "Take your time. I've got the winery covered." Her phone buzzed, another message from Alex, no doubt, but she pocketed it fast. As she grabbed her purse and headed for the door, Jake caught the glint of the black-capped bottle inside. Phase 1 was set. He spent the morning at the winery, guiding a tour group through the cellars. His voice stayed warm, but his mind tracked Sophia's likely path. Her meeting was a lie. Text from last night confirmed a rendezvous at the Shady Oak Motel, a low-rent spot on the edge of town. Alex had booked room 12, the usual. Jake's plan hinged on timing. The adhesive would take seconds to set, turning their tryst into a fiasco. But he needed more, proof to protect his legacy. At noon, he slipped into his office and logged into the winery's security system. Sophia managed their online accounts, but Jake knew her passwords, sloppy habits she never hid. Her cloud storage held a folder labeled Marketing Plans. He opened it, expecting campaign drafts. Instead, he found a spreadsheet, Vintage Sale. It listed his 1920s collection, 50 bottles, valued at $2.3 million, with buyer contacts in Hong Kong and a timeline to clear out by December. Alex's name was all over it, alongside Sophia's notes on splitting the cash. Jake downloaded the file, emailed it to his lawyer, and forwarded a copy to his cousin, Mia, a deputy sheriff. By 2 p.m., Sophia texted, "Running late. Don't wait up." Jake replied with a thumbs up, then drove to the Shady Oak. He parked a block away, blending into a diner's patio crowd. From there, he saw Sophia's car pull into the motel lot. Alex arrived minutes later, all swagger, carrying a bottle of cheap sparkling wine. They disappeared into room 12. Jake waited, checking his watch. The adhesive would hit soon. He sipped a soda, eyes fixed on the motel. At 2:45, muffled shouts echoed from room 12. A curtain twitched, and Sophia's voice carried, sharp with panic. "What's happening?" "It's stuck." Alex's reply was a garbled curse. Jake stayed calm, blending into the growing crowd of motel guests drawn by the noise. Someone called 911. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jake pulled out his burner phone, a cheap prepaid he'd bought that morning, and texted a local gossip blogger. "Check Shady Oak Motel, room 12. Big story." He attached a screenshot of Sophia's texts, scrubbed of his involvement. Paramedics arrived, followed by a fire truck. The motel manager, a frazzled man in a polo shirt, knocked on room 12's door. "Everything okay?" he yelled. Sophia's voice cracked. "Get help. Now." The door swung open, revealing chaos. Sophia and Alex, tangled in a sheet, stuck together, faces red with embarrassment. Paramedics rushed in, stifling laughs as they assessed the situation. Jake watched from the diner, his pulse steady. The trap had sprung. The Shady Oak Motel parking lot buzzed with chaos as Jake Torres watched from the diner across the street. Sirens wailed, cutting through Napa's lazy afternoon. Room 12's door hung open, paramedics bustling around Sophia and Alex, who were tangled in a sheet, their voices a mix of panic and humiliation. Jake's adhesive trap had worked, its fast-drying gel turning their illicit rendezvous into a sticky nightmare. He leaned back in his booth, nursing a soda, his burner phone buzzing with a reply from the gossip blogger. "This is gold. Posting now." The stage was set for the climax. Paramedics maneuvered a stretcher into the room, their professionalism cracking as Sophia shrieked, "Don't touch me." Alex muttered curses, trying to shield himself with the sheet. The motel manager hovered, barking at curious guests to back off, but phones were already out, cameras flashing. Jake's tip to the blogger ensured the story would spread like wildfire. He'd sent just enough, screenshots of Sophia's flirty texts, minus any trace of his own involvement, to spark a frenzy without implicating himself. As the stretcher emerged, Sophia and Alex were a single, awkward bundle under the sheet, loaded into the ambulance. A crowd of motel guests and passers-by gawked, some laughing, others whispering. Jake caught snippets. "Isn't that the winery lady? And what kind of mess is this?" The ambulance doors slammed shut, and the vehicle sped off, sirens fading. Jake paid for his soda and drove back to Torres Vineyards, his mind racing to the next move. The public spectacle was only the beginning. He needed to secure his winery's legacy. At the winery, Jake dove into damage control. He called his lawyer, Elena, who'd received the spreadsheet detailing Sophia and Alex's plan to steal the 1920s vintage collection. "File an injunction," he told her. "Block any sale of the bottles. I want their plan dead." Elena confirmed she'd already alerted the sheriff's department, thanks to the evidence Jake sent to his cousin Mia. The bottles, locked in a climate-controlled vault, were safe for now, but Jake wasn't taking chances. He hired a private security firm to guard the cellar 24/7, their black SUVs pulling up within the hour. By 5 p.m., the blogger's post hit social media. Titled, "Napa Love Triangle Goes Wrong." It included blurred photos from the motel and snippets of Sophia's texts, painting her and Alex as scheming lovers caught in a humiliating blunder. The hashtag Napa Sticky situation trended locally, with comments piling up. "Torres Vineyards deserves better," and "Who's dumb enough to mess with Jake?" Jake stayed offline, letting the storm build. He knew Sophia would see it soon. She lived on her phone. Back home, Jake prepped for the fallout. He moved Sophia's belongings to the guest room, a clear signal he was done. At 7 p.m., his phone lit up with a call from Mia, the deputy sheriff. "We're looking into the vintage theft plan," she said. "Found emails between Alex and a shady buyer in San Francisco. Sophia's name's all over them. We'll need your statement tomorrow." Jake agreed, keeping his tone neutral. Mia didn't know about the adhesive, no one did. It was his silent victory. Sophia burst through the door at 9 p.m. Her hair tangled, eyes wild. She'd been released from the hospital after medics used a solvent to free her and Alex. "Jake, we need to talk," she stammered, clutching her purse. He raised a hand, cutting her off. "I know everything. Alex, the motel, the vintage heist. Save your excuses." Her jaw dropped, but she tried to pivot. "It was a mistake. I got caught up. We can fix this." Jake slid a manila envelope across the counter. "Divorce papers, drafted that afternoon. Sign these, or we go to court. Your call." Sophia's hands trembled as she opened the envelope, her bravado crumbling. "You can't do this," she whispered. Jake leaned in, voice low. "You tried to rob my family's legacy. You're lucky I'm only asking for a divorce." She backed toward the guest room, silent, the weight of her exposure sinking in. Jake poured himself a glass of his 2015 Merlot, the one Sophia once called their best. He sipped it, savoring the irony. The town was talking, the winery was secure, and Sophia's world was unraveling. His plan wasn't over yet. Jake Torres sat in his winery office, the morning sun filtering through the window, casting shadows across his desk. The chaos at the Shady Oak Motel had erupted online overnight, with hashtag Napa Sticky situation now trending beyond Napa Valley. Social media buzzed with memes and clips of Sophia and Alex's ambulance exit, their dignity shredded by the adhesive prank Jake had orchestrated. He hadn't expected the story to spread so fast, but the gossip blogger's post, fueled by his anonymous tip, had ignited a firestorm. Jake stayed focused, knowing the real battle was protecting his winery's legacy from Sophia's betrayal. By 9 a.m., his phone was flooded with messages, support from locals, orders from new clients drawn by the drama, and a few nosy reporters sniffing for quotes. Jake ignored them all, meeting instead with his lawyer, Elena, at the winery. She arrived with a thick folder. "The injunction's in place," she said, spreading documents on the desk. "No one can touch the 1920s vintage collection." The sheriff's department seized Alex's laptop. His emails confirmed he was negotiating with a black market dealer in Los Angeles. Jake nodded, relief mixing with resolve. What about Sophia? He asked. Elena's eyes narrowed. She's named in the emails too. Mia's team is building a case for attempted theft. Jake spent the afternoon reinforcing the winery's defenses. He upgraded the cellar's security system, adding biometric locks and cameras. A call from his cousin Mia, the deputy sheriff, confirmed Alex was in custody, questioned about the vintage scheme. Sophia hadn't been arrested yet, but Mia hinted it was coming. We found a burner phone in her car, she said. It's got text to Alex about splitting the profits. She's in deep. Jake thanked her, keeping his adhesive stunt secret. The law was handling Sophia's punishment. His trap had only exposed her. At 3 p.m., the winery's tasting room was packed, the scandal drawing curious visitors. Jake played the gracious host, pouring samples and deflecting gossip with a smile. We're focused on the wine, he'd say, steering talk to the harvest. Behind the charm, he was strategizing. Sophia's betrayal had threatened his family's century-old legacy, but the public support was turning Torres Vineyards into a local legend. He texted his marketing assistant, Lila, to plan a charity tasting event, free pours for donations to a food bank. It would keep the winery's name golden while Sophia's crumbled. Back home, Sophia was a ghost. She'd stayed in the guest room since Jake handed her divorce papers, avoiding him. At 6 p.m., he found her in the kitchen, staring at her phone, the screen glowing with notifications. The viral post had reached her colleagues, clients, and friends. They're calling me a joke, she muttered, voice hollow. Jake didn't flinch. You made choices. Now you face them. He slid a pen toward the divorce papers, still unsigned on the counter. Sophia pushed them away. I won't make this easy, she snapped. Jake shrugged. Then we'll do it in court. Everything's public there. Texts, videos, your theft plan. Think about it. Sophia retreated, but Jake wasn't done. He'd found a hidden app on her phone before returning it. A private chat platform linked to a paid, discreet encounters network. Screenshots showed Sophia had been active for 2 years, rating meetups and sharing tips with other users. Jake forwarded the evidence to Mia, who confirmed the network was under investigation for fraud. This could tie Sophia to bigger charges, Mia said. Organized crime, maybe. Jake didn't care about the network. He just wanted his winery safe and Sophia accountable. By nightfall, Jake drove to a quiet hill overlooking the vineyards. He parked his truck and checked his phone. The blogger had posted a follow-up, linking Sophia's affair to the vintage theft plot, citing leaked documents. Napa's online forums exploded with support for Jake, calling him a hero for standing tall. A text from Lila confirmed the charity event was set for next week, already generating buzz. Jake exhaled, the weight of betrayal lifting slightly. Sophia's world was collapsing under the truth, and his winery was rising. The final act was near.